Alex, how are you?
Hi Derek, I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. So hey, thanks for joining me this morning.
Thanks for having me.
Um, yeah, pretty cool thing. So as I've gone through this podcast, a lot of the people that I've met with are like friends of mine or family, or a friend said, "Hey, listen, you got to talk to this person. Their story's fantastic." So it's really nice to have you here. We go kind of way back somewhat. I mean, maybe five years or so potentially, but
Yeah, it's
I'm
almost six.
glad we. Is it six?
Almost six. Yeah, we're getting there.
Almost six. Okay, cool. So first off, welcome to the podcast, the American Dream Podcast, where I believe the dream is still alive. And because of that, I do believe that because the stories I hear on this podcast, and one being yours, right? So let's just start with kind of your full name. When were you born? Country of origin.
Yeah, my full name is Alexander Pashenko, but I'm going by Alex. It's easier to say. And I'm from Ukraine originally. I born in October 13, 1990. I'm 31 right now. Actually,
Okay.
a couple days ago, I was thinking I'm 32. My wife like, oh my God, man, you're 31. Stop. I've stopped to counting after 30. So I'm 31 right now, and I live with my wife, and we just got a baby in Tucker,
Yeah.
Georgia.
Nice. Congratulations. Yeah, I remember when we met in DC not too long ago, right? I remember even actually hearing a little bit about your story. I mean, coming from Ukraine, and oh, by the way, the whole situation now is much different than, and at least from my perspective, right? I mean, I think of Ukraine when we first talk, I had my first thoughts, perception around the country. And then obviously what's happening today is much different. So maybe, like, if you don't mind just starting, I mean, obviously born in Ukraine, what city, and maybe give us a feel for what it was like in Ukraine growing up.
Yeah, sure. So I born and grew up in a city called Kherson, and my city where it's like area where it's by my city is Hola Pristan. It's at this point it's occupied by Russians, and my parents still live there. But grow up there was really good time. Actually, when I grew up, I never was thinking that I'm gonna move somewhere. I never had the dream to move to another country. I was feel like Ukraine. It's a great country, nice people. I'm gonna grow up here. I'm gonna find some job. I'm gonna, I don't know, get married, die there. I
Yeah.
never had the idea to move somewhere else. And actually, in the school, I wasn't even feel strong about the English. I wasn't even trying to study English. I was, I don't need it. I'm gonna live in Ukraine. Uh, my life was pretty good, and actually, why I moved here, I have to probably start from my early
Sure.
time in the college when I got my first job. My first job was when I got 16. I was working in sales. There was direct sales after school. My second job was like I work in a bank, call center and sales.
Mhm.
So I have a dog here.
No worries.
Um, Another job, I also work in the sales. And the main reason why I started thinking to move to another country was when I started to do my own business. I opened my bar. There was seasonal job at the sea. There was small place like a bar, like a grocery thing. Um, my neighbors right next to me, there was family that was doing like a tourist stuff. They had the buses, and there was a family, father and two sons. And one son, he lived in US before, and he kept talking about US every day. That I worked there probably for 4 months, and for all these 4 months, this guy talking about US, how he want to move to US, that his was dream. I was like, this sounds cool. Maybe at some point in the life I'm gonna try something different. But right now I'm so was focused to live in Ukraine, try to do something. My always idea of my life gonna be like my own business. I don't want to work for somebody. And
Yeah.
that job at the sea was horrible. I'm gonna say that ahead. I lost a lot of money on that season was awful. And
Mhm.
people I'm sorry, fuck me over with rent and everything.
Yeah.
But that was first point when I started thinking about moving somewhere.
So interesting. So you were born in 1990, and then you took us right through, I think, past high school, right? Is that when you started to work? I mean, what did that look like? What year was that? Are we talking about?
When I started to work, I just got to college. That was my first year in college, and I was
Okay.
I wanted to like start to making my own money. My parents give me money to live, but I was always feeling bad. I was like, I can do it.
Yeah.
I'm in the college until 3 p.m. and I can find some job to do it. So I got this job, and I remember a couple of weeks after when I start to making money, my dad arrived to college just to like talk to me, and he say like, "Hey, do you need money?" I'm saying like, "No, Dad, I'm good. I have money." No, I was proud of myself to say that to my dad. I was like,
Yeah.
I remember I was 16 or 17. I was like, oh my God, this feels good.
Yeah.
Uh,
So,
so
so how many, so, all right. So do you have any brothers and sisters?
I do
That
have a
are
brother.
all, okay. You have a brother.
He's 9 years younger. He's 22. Um, he actually right now living in Canada.
Okay.
So I'm gonna go ahead and tell you how it happened, probably because he lived in
Sure.
Ukraine 6 months ago, and before the war, he just decided to go for vacation. He went to Spain and France, and 10 days after he was there, war happened. So he had a small luggage with him, and he was like, "Hey, I'm gonna go for 2 weeks for vacation. I'm gonna come back home." And there was a choice: so he going to come back home for war, or he gonna keep doing his life. So I was thinking what to do, and Canada opened refugee for Ukrainian people.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so, yeah, it's crazy. I mean, so you left for the States before the war, right? I
For the
think,
war,
right?
but I think Russia occupied Crimea at the
Yeah.
time when I live in Ukraine. So that was 2014, and I leave Ukraine 2016.
Okay. Okay. So where is the city that you're from in comparison to Crimea?
So like Crimea is like in the bottom of the country,
Yeah.
and my parents' town like probably like 50, 100 miles away from Crimea is like a little bit higher.
Okay.
Uh,
So you're closer. So your hometown is closer to the Russian border,
yeah,
right?
I mean,
Okay.
like Russian border was like really on the right of the country. It was far away, but after Crimea was occupied,
Yeah.
we got really close, and that's how my parents' town was occupied very fast because they were so close, and they occupied the town in the first day.
And that was during the invasion of Crimea, or that was the recent invasion?
No, that was recent in February.
Okay. Okay. Gosh, so I'm just curious. I mean, again, I always compare and contrast my experience in the United States to people like yours and others. And
Yeah,
I was just talking to a lady from Serbia who basically was, left the United States essentially because of war, right? And it's, I always look at my experience. I've never I don't know anybody outside the people I talked to on this podcast, a few of them that have actually had to live in a time where there was that type of friction with another country in an invasion. I mean, that's crazy. So how, give me your thoughts on first Crimea, and then what was that like? And then, obviously now with the latest invasion, which is is absolutely terrible, by the way. It's what's comforting is all the support globally for the Ukrainian people. But I'd love to get your thoughts on starting with the Crimea piece, and then also how did things evolve to where we are today?
well, yeah, I still cannot believe it's happening. Actually, Ukraine is kind of like European country. We live in 2022. It's I don't know, 6 months after it's happened, I still cannot believe it's going on right now. And that bombing, I don't know, I'm watching the videos right now. That's what is going on in Ukraine. It's just scary. And yeah, it's really scary. And I'm really afraid because my parents still live there. But I feel like this invasion, this war, much different than that happened with Crimea. That was just occupied fast. There wasn't a lot of bombing. That was happening just kind of fast, and nobody was expecting it. This war, I feel like we was preparing for 5 years. People was waiting that for 5, 6.
Yeah.
People was ready that something gonna happen. All world was kind of expecting, and it just when. Question was when, and yeah, it's happened in February. Of course, I'm not there right now, so I cannot say how it's going on, but I can say how I feel, right?
Sure.
I don't think it's fair because Ukraine and people there is really nice people. That's what Russians blame right now, that Ukrainians, they shouldn't be exist in this world, and we should just clean up that piece of the world and put the Russia over there. It's horrible. It's what everybody calling Russia right now terrorist country, and I fully agree with that. They're killing civilians every day. It's scary,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And
Yeah.
I feel strong about that probably because I'm from there. I don't know how I would feel if I would be from here. I kind of understand people why say, like, you know, American people, a lot of people in the world right now complain why everybody support Ukraine, why we invest our country money in Ukraine,
Mm-hmm.
because there wasn't there a kind of like, I see their perspective as they complain, but also I feel like Ukrainians fighting right now for freedom all over the world. I cannot believe that Russians are going to stop on Ukraine. Maybe they're going to stop for 10, 20 years after, but they have this crazy idea, come back to Soviet Union or whatever they have, and I don't really understand it. Actually.
Yeah, it's, what's really inspirational to me is like the Ukrainian civilian population picking up arms to defend their country.
Yeah.
It just tells me how patriotic the Ukrainian people are. And look, a lot of them have risked their lives to protect the sovereignty of that country.
Yeah, a lot of people dying right now there.
Yeah, I mean, look, I can't even empathize, right? Like, I have no frame of reference or understanding of what even, like, how to even feel about it. I mean, certainly somebody in your shoes with family still over there, I mean, that's got to be pretty emotional, right? I mean,
it is emotional. Yeah, and
right.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're good. Finish your thought.
I'm trying to get my parents like to some safe place, but they just don't want to leave. But it's like one of the things that you're saying patriotic, because they're saying it's our land. We're not going anywhere. They're waiting when Ukraine's gonna come back, just cut them free from Russian, and yeah, a lot of people just truly don't want to go anywhere. They want to stay in the land. They want to protect the land, and they're just screaming, "It's our land. We're not going anywhere. We're gonna die here, or we're gonna stand here."
Yeah.
Our president, I just feel like we're really lucky with this guy. Nobody was believing him. He was comedian, kind of like he signed his life for. He was a successful guy. He has a family. He has a business. He has everything that probably people wanted, and he decided to change the country, and he changed his life like that.
Yeah.
He's like in the middle of the world right now.
Well, he's shown, and I loved your thoughts around like Zelensky and his, what's the right word? His administration and power, right? I'm just curious, but certainly now, like, being in leadership, sales leadership.
Yeah.
I think there's fundamentals of leadership that I think have to be true to gain followership. And when I look at Zelensky, I view him as a true leader, how he's behaving right now. Front lines with his people. He's not hiding. He's not, he didn't flee the country while everybody else defends it. He's front line. So he's in the trenches defending, Ukrainian sovereignty and the people of Ukraine. Super visible. I mean, the guy is literally, whenever he can communicate with his people, he is. And then I always hear these stories of like these hit squads, right?
Yeah.
Obviously trying to take down Zelensky and his administration, or those that support him in government, so that Putin can take over. But prior to this, I mean, and by the way, I watched a documentary before we talked, because I also want to get a better understanding of the country. But there was also kind of a revolution not too long ago in Ukraine as well, right? I mean, gosh, maybe what, mid 20, when was that, 2016, 15, or maybe earlier, 2012 or so?
I think that was earlier. We have
a
few of them, so I think I can remember the year right now. That was probably around 2000. Oh my God, maybe 10 or
It was
something.
early. Yeah, yeah.
Somewhere there, I can remember right now.
But it seems like the Ukrainian people have been fighting for like this, like then I guess everybody, at least one part of the country, wasn't happy with current state of government. And then that was a big transition for the, again, Ukrainian people. Not sure what side this would fall here, but the Ukrainian people fighting for some type of democratic, whatever it may be, a certain form of government they didn't have. And then fast forward, now you're back in it with Russia through a illegitimate invasion. So like, give me a state of like, if I'm on the outside here, but I see those things, but give me a state of like the government, give me a state of like, obviously that revolution and why, and then help me understand too, like the direct friction between Putin and Ukraine. I'd love to understand that a little further.
Well, it's going to be only my opinion about that.
Sure.
But the revolution definitely happened because our previous government worked for Putin, I would say. Everybody was understanding. This was, all country was expecting to become European Union, go to European Union and be in NATO. But our previous government just tried to avoid it. And they was following, seems like they was following the Putin notes. They're saying we're not going there, we're gonna stay close to Russia, and other people was just upset by that because it's not what they want. And that's how revolution, I feel like, start. They realize we don't want to be under Russia, we want to be a European country, we want to go other direction. And that's what happened in Kyiv on the Maidan. That was a huge deal. People was going there and was ready to die for the country, for the future of the country, for kids. And that revolution took a lot of lives too.
Yeah,
people was ready to fight, and that other people did it. Our previous government ran away. We got the new people in the government, and we started moving in feels like right direction. And Zelensky office right now doing like really good job. That definitely understand what people want. Even like a lot of people was against him, but I feel like right now they really apologized. I'm sorry, Zelensky, I wasn't believing you that moment, but right now we see like you're a bigger leader. We want you to be our general, main general of the country. And the revolution changed a lot for us, and that's what is going right now, just probably part of that revolution. Because Moscow is not okay with that what's going in Ukraine. They see the people brave that try to fight for the future. They want to be different, and they just don't like it. They want to take country. They believe that Ukraine is a part of Russia.
Yeah.
What is kind of also insane. So everything that they're saying is just kind of crazy.
So it's interesting. Yeah. So it sounds like, give me a second, Alex. I got to shut this door.
Yeah.
So it sounds like all the turmoil is basically just Ukraine trying to establish themselves as one of the as a Western country, and joining the European Union and joining the Western world and going that way. That's what the Ukrainian people want. And then you've got your past government pre the revolution that is taking orders from Russia, it sounds like, right? And then because of the revolution, that leader leaves. I forget his name, but he leaves. And he's tied to like Belarus or something, isn't he?
I think he's in Russia right now. He ran to Russia.
Oh, is he? Okay. So he's a Putin sympathizer. Ukrainian people are like, we are not an extension of Russia. We are our own sovereign country. And by the way, that's how everybody in the world sees Ukraine. And then obviously fast forward till now, it's like, well, Putin still doesn't believe that. And because he doesn't have a puppet in Ukraine, he's going to take it by force. Is that kind of accurate?
I feel like exactly what is going on.
Yeah.
That's what he believed. He he has his idea and he don't want to be stopped. And I feel like at this point, if they're gonna stop, they're gonna lose, and this is what he's afraid. He cannot show Russia, the country that lost the war, because everybody expecting Russia to be second country or strongest military country in the world, right? And they cannot take Ukraine. So right now, I feel like it's more about, hey, look, we can do it. What is kind of insane, but he tried
Well,
to.
I think that's a testament to the Ukrainian people. I really do. I mean, you'd be surprised, not you'd be surprised, but like what people will do that are patriotic and love their country to defend their country. And honestly, like, and you tell me if I'm wrong here, but it almost seems like if it wasn't for the Ukrainian people joining the fight,
Yeah.
maybe you couldn't hold as long as you're holding.
I'll go inside. My neighbor decided.
No worries.
Good time for him to cut the grass. I'm sorry.
No worries.
I'm just gonna sit inside. Yeah, please go ahead.
I almost feel like maybe a lot, and tell me if I'm wrong here, but I almost feel like a big part of the resistance are the people, are the citizens of Ukraine, right? I mean, is that, am I right here? Like when you call back home, I mean, is everybody kind of, a lot of civilians picking up arms and defending Ukraine? Is it like, is it like a lot, a little? I mean, I'm just curious.
It happens, and a lot of people try to join the military, but a lot of people also doing their own small like military groups, like 5-10 people. That's why we have right now, like, people try to collect money and buy some guns for them, because they try to do their own, help people from that side.
Like little militias.
Yeah, something like that. And it's kind of like, wow, for me, just people ready go for and die for country.
Yeah.
They're not selfish. They're not like, no, we're gonna just wait. So try to go and push Russians back wherever they can do.
Yeah, and I think you're right too. I mean, I think everybody kind of felt that Russia's military was a strong superpower, but that's not the case. And I think a lot of it too is Zelensky. I think a lot of it is, from my perspective, which is just the news, and then obviously, yours is even probably more accurate. But it's Zelensky pushing back. It's the Ukrainian people pushing back. It looks like there's I'd love your thoughts on that, like, and take it as far as you'd like, but it sounds like the world is responding in support.
Oh yeah.
But look, I mean, I don't know and I'd love your thoughts. I mean, how does this thing end in your mind?
I feel like Russian wasn't really expecting Ukrainians to fight so strong. That's what Putin was screaming the first day, like, hey, I see that Zelensky don't want to give up. You people, you can just let us take this country, and it's going to be over fast. But Ukrainian people show the resistance. They're like, hey, no, it's not going to happen. And I think this what surprised Moscow. They wasn't ready for such a strong people, I would say. They're going to fight for it. Yeah. And to be honest, how it's going to end, I hope and I believe, of course, Ukraine going to win. They're doing a really good job right now. All world help Ukraine right now. Ukraine's people is brave. So I cannot see the way how they're going to lose.
Yeah. Well,
it's a matter of the time. I feel like maybe it's going to take longer than everybody expecting, but I think it's a matter of the time. And like Ukrainian people say, oh, we're going to die, we're going to win,
I mean, look, true testament to the Ukrainian people. I mean, I couldn't imagine, living in the States now, an invasion. Again, it goes back to the whole purpose of the podcast is like, man, I feel grateful, there's a lot of people in Ukraine that, quite frankly, don't have the luxuries that we have in the United States right now. You know what I mean? And like people that are upset or dissatisfied with how things are in our country, like certainly there's civil discourse and there's probably legitimate grievances, but I'm like, Go talk to Alex. You know what I mean? Like, go talk to Alex, where his parents are still in Ukraine, in a war-torn country, and fighting for their lives. What are you worried about? You know what I mean? Like, I sincerely feel that, you know?
You know, I feel like a lot of people, and I am personally, keep forgetting how lucky I am. Sometimes I keep forgetting where I am right now, what I have right now. And it is true, you're saying right, because we are here in US, we feel safe. We're not thinking that some bomb gonna just bomb like next to our house. We feel so good, and we keep forgetting about it, but we still complain about our life. But look in the rest of the world. Everybody's suffering. Like, look in Africa and look in Ukraine. I hope American people and all people in the world gonna remind themselves how lucky they are, where they live, what they have.
Yeah. And that's, yeah, I mean, you're right. It's not even just Ukraine. I mean, there's poverty, there's famine, there's corrupt government, there's slavery that still exists in other countries.
Right? We're
There's,
not even thinking about it, but it is exist. It's
yeah,
still
I mean, it still exists. And it's, again, it goes back to like me. As you know, I'm a first generation immigrant, and this is, you know, my passion on the podcast is to hear stories just like yours, to highlight how lucky we are in this country. And gosh, man, like, I've never ever had to endure something your family is right now. I've never ever had to endure any type of dictatorship or form of government that was oppressive. I've never ever had to deal with, where am I going to get food? I've never ever had to deal with, hey, I don't, you know, like, shoot, we've got internet access and we've got running water and we've got, the economy is so good in the United States where, gosh, if you put in the effort, you'll be successful, right? I mean, where in other countries, you put in the effort, you work hard, you try to build a business, you try to earn an income. Well, there's other forces that are external to that could actually push against it, where you can't do those things, even though you're a person that has the ability to do so. So for me, like, anytime like I hear people saying, well, what about this? What about that? I'm like, guys, these are first world problems. Like literally, these are first world problems. And the more I do this podcast, Alex, and hear stories like yours, I'm just like, geez, man, like, I am so lucky. You know what I mean? And then, and the flip side, Alex, I get upset with those that, you know, have so much disdain for the US and have so much negativity and apathy towards the country. And I'm just like, guys, like, we're fortunate. You know what I mean? We're very fortunate.
Yeah, I try to remind myself, because I keep forgetting sometimes these things. You know, I live in this beautiful home with my beautiful family, and I still, like, sometimes my internet off for 1 hour. Oh my God. It's like, try to tell myself, like, shut up. Because even I am like, came from other country, and I'm still keep forgetting like how lucky I'd be here.
Yeah.
And I feel like everybody should remind themselves that this part. And yeah, it was like everybody was screaming about this toilet paper shortage when coronavirus happened, right? It's just like, when you look in the rest of the world, come on, people, what we're talking about?
People don't even have running toilets in other parts of the world.
Yeah.
It's crazy, man. It's crazy. So so how often do you talk to your parents?
I'm trying to talk to them every day. My mom, every morning when she woke up, she texts me a message, hey, everything okay? Are we good? Sometimes they don't have a phone service right now. So they have only Wi-Fi, and it works really bad. It's like on and off. So at least we try to text them. I try to call them every day, so we're talking, but I can hear, because I can hear the bombing, because it's not too far away from my parents' town. So I can hear it sometimes. It's like
on the phone.
Yeah.
So you'll be talking to your mother and you can hear bombing in the background. That's terrifying.
It is terrifying. My mom's saying that, like, house is shaking when it, and bombing is like maybe 50 miles away, but can you imagine what is like exactly in that place? If my parents 50 miles away can hear that, I just cannot imagine that. What
I cannot imagine. And I don't even want to pretend like I can imagine. And that's scary, right? Like, I'm trying to put myself in your shoes. Like, if my mother, I was calling, like, you're thinking like, I might not get a call the next day. I mean, literally, it's that dire, of course, right?
It is, yeah. And my dad build like a bunker inside the house, and we're talking about it's like, is it for real? Like you build in some shelter for themselves to hide inside the house. Like, I just cannot still imagine that it's happening. So yeah, you're right. It's like some days like they're gonna talk to my mom tomorrow or not, it
Yeah.
is scary. But
So that's
still,
good. At least you're talking daily, right? And so like, I hear the stories of like civilians getting murdered by Russian troops in bombs, right? I mean, that's all true, right? I mean, it's not like, generally, I'm not like an expert of like military law, but it's supposed to be like combat against military versus military. Now, certainly Ukrainians are picking up arms and fighting back, but are like innocent, unarmed civilians in Ukraine being murdered by Russian soldiers? And forgive my ignorance here, like, but is that what's going on? Is that what you're hearing from your parents?
yeah, it's exactly what's happening. And it seems like Russia never followed the military rules. They have
Yeah,
their own rules. They're fighting against people. They try to destroy everything that they can. Ukraine is not first country that they're doing like that.
yeah.
It's just the way how they are probably going to war, and they really don't care. They want to destroy everything. Putin said that Ukrainians is not actually legit people. It's not a country. It's supposed to be removed from the map. So that's what he's doing. Seems like it's right for him because.
And it's all like, it's interesting. I mean, and I think it's all like him trying to preserve the old Soviet Union, right? I mean, when the Soviet Union broke up after whatever world war it was, then that's when everybody formed their own independent countries, right?
Yeah.
And now I guess Putin's saying, well, hold on, no, never should have happened. Ukraine is really Russia,
From where
right?
do people have this idea? I'm just curious, like from where this idea came to his head. You have such a huge country and you like, hey, it's not enough for me. I want to take I want to kill millions of people, but I want this piece of the land.
Well, he's a lunatic.
I'm sorry?
I mean, he's a lunatic. I mean, like, what do you gain? I don't know. It's like this whole ideology. It's like ideology of like, well, this should be mine. I'm going to take it no matter what, because I'm a strong man. I want to preserve Russia and what it was. It's like, look, that's not what it is. You know what I mean?
It's not the time I feel that we live. I just killing people like that just because you have some idea, because you feel like too powerful, because it's not enough for you that you have. I don't know. I feel like it's crazy.
It is, man. Well, I'm sorry you're going through it. And I've said this 5 times. I'm just grateful that I'm not. And I know that sounds kind of selfish, but that's the reality.
No, trust me.
And I think that's one of the benefits of America. I mean, honestly, like the last war that was fought on American soil was the Civil War in the late 1800s.
Yeah.
Think about that. I mean, so, and I think that a lot of that has to do with the United States, our strength as a country, right? Yeah. And then also, we've never had to go through some push that we had to topple our own government, because generally the way our government is set up, although it's not perfect, but a lot of the power is pushed down to people versus centralized government owning power, right? So feel fortunate that we're here. So
yeah, we pay a lot of taxes, and a lot of taxes going to military, and a lot of people don't like it, but that's why nobody wanna fuck around with us, probably, because
yeah,
they're strong. And yeah,
look, country's very accepting too. You're here, I'm here. It's the first generation immigrant that built this country, I believe. Yeah. One of many groups, but look, I mean, anyways, so hey, you said something earlier. I think you said a buddy of yours was like, you got to go to the US when you were in college working, or right after college.
Oh yeah.
Like, I'm just curious, and when you're in Ukraine and you had a choice and you left pre-war, right? You could have gone anywhere. I mean, right, you could have gone to Europe, Western Europe, and look, there's some fantastic countries. You know, Spain, you met Spain, France, the UK.
Yeah.
You know, but you decided the US. I mean, why the US? Why not somewhere else?
Like, I was trying to actually go somewhere to Europe, and I was looking my options that I can do. I was trying to like save some money first and like find some other job, maybe move to some other country, find some kind of job, whatever, what is it, just catch up base and just build my life from the bottom. But at some point I find a job that was a Carnival cruise company.
Yeah.
And I work on a cruise like a waiter for almost 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And every time when we was like stopping at some port, get out from the ship, and I saw all of this life around, I was like, God, man, this looks so good. This people is nice. This life is so different. Street is clean. I was like, this feels nice. And I had like a travel visa. So I decided like, hey, let me stop after my contract a little bit in US and like hang out for a couple of weeks. I have some friends in New York that I can stay with them for a while. And when I arrived, I like spent some time here. I was like, oh my God, man, I love it. People super friendly. Lifestyle is different. It's just, everything was so different. Everything was so new for me. I just got so excited. I went to DC for New Year, and I met my wife over there. That was, of course, future. We understand that was like, just everything started to build here for me such a good way. When I live in Ukraine, I feel like something wasn't working for me there. I was trying to get some job. I was trying to make money. I was trying to have my own business. Nothing was really working for me good. And here, just like for first couple of months, I just start to feel American. Actually, I was like, this is American dream. This is people nice. I have some nice girlfriend that we hang out. I live in DC. I moved from New York to DC at the time, and everything was so nice. When I started to like, I met some people. People was so nice to me. I was like, I was kind of afraid of that, because before, when people was nice to me, they tried to do some shit to me,
Yeah.
And here was just people nice. It was, I started to enjoy it. So like, I don't want to go back.
Yeah.
I want to live here.
So what is like, it was so different, right? Like, I remember when I was growing up in Canada, and keep in mind, Canada and the US are like very similar.
Yeah.
So completely different story than you coming from Ukraine. But I always had like this perception of the United States as like, very large, like big country, right? A lot of people. I remember at the time growing up in Canada, there was many people in California as there were in Canada.
Yeah.
I knew that. We also learned about the United States. We knew how many states. We understood government, founding fathers is weird, right? But we would actually learn a lot about the United States.
Yeah.
And I remember my mom left Canada because, and generally people will leave. Nobody wants to leave their home country, right? Like, look, you love Ukraine. You are Ukrainian. And if things were working right for you there, you would have stayed, right? I mean, so everybody generally leaves for a reason. My mom left because, it's hard for her to get employment around her specific field. And like the way she got paid in Canada for her profession was much different than she was paid here. And so she left, brought 4 kids. And I just remember coming to the United States and like, although it was very similar, I just remember like so much that was different. And to your point, kids were not as probably as nice as they were in Canada. Canada's a very nice country, but like, different type of energy, different type of engagement you have with people. My mom started to be very successful in her job where she couldn't be in Canada. So the reason she left was financial friction to come here. So, but I'm thinking back to when I came and I probably had some of the same feelings you did, right? But I'm curious, like, what were some of the biggest differences? Like Ukraine, United States. I mean, you were like, wow, this is different. That's different. I noticed this. I mean,
to be honest, I would say probably was everything. The main thing was people, because
like everybody was so nice to me. I don't know why. Just that was feeling like I almost live here for a long time. I just like almost came back home. And you remember when we just met, my English was awful. I wasn't
Yeah.
able to say a word probably. I wasn't able to have some conversation. And to be honest, I don't even know how I communicate with my wife that time. There was, we use Google Translate a lot, you know, so that wasn't easy for me. Like you moved from the Canada to US and you was able to speak at least to people.
Language. Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, I had a hard time. So that's why I like kind of hang out around Ukrainian, Russian people first time, somebody who speak my language.
Hmm.
And uh, so
So
yeah,
you weren't expecting that. So the first thing you noticed was like, wow, these people are accepting,
yeah,
right? And like, yeah, and I remember meeting you for the first time. You know, and yeah, I don't, you were still learning English, but like, you know, it's interesting. Everybody wanted to help you. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And make sure you felt comfortable. And I think largely that's how a lot of Americans are. And I don't know if that's like what everybody thinks of America, until you get here, maybe.
yeah, I think so. I don't know, like my personal experience, I can talk only about myself, and my experience was great. People accept me like I was, you
Yeah.
know, not like immigrant came from, you know, you can hear some story that people don't, some people don't like immigrants. They're like just rude to them because I don't know, whatever happens. But my personal experience was great, and truly appreciate each person in my life. And I very appreciate my wife because she was supporting me from the first day. And when it was just, you know, it was now it was just a friend's first time, and she was like help me with everything. We had just great time. We started dating, and I don't know, everything just laid down right for me. I was kind of lucky, probably. I would call it.
Do, do you miss Ukraine at all? Do you ever think back to when you were growing up at least? I
I
mean,
do
there's
miss
probably, yeah.
I do miss Ukraine, and we was lucky to went back to Ukraine. There was April last year. We went there to see my family. We went there for
Mhm.
2 weeks almost, and even my wife say, "Oh my God, the people here are super nice. This country is nice." We hung out one day in Kyiv before we went to my parents' hometown. Uh, we just had a great time, and of course, when I come back home, you know, I wasn't. Uh, I spent here 4 years before I came back home, so for me, it was like, you know, to see my streets that I was grow up and the people that I haven't seen for a while, my home. That was exciting, and I was hoping I'm gonna go this year again, but my plans
Yeah.
was changed. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Gosh.
Ukraine is a great country, and of course I missed it. But I also gonna say I love to live here.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting. I don't know if this holds true. So my Carla's grandfather is Italian. And every time I talk to him now about this topic, he's like, Derek, in when I was growing up, the way things were in Europe, we always did what we could. And when I came to the United States, we do what we want.
It's
And that kind of resonated. It's like, well, I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, well, you know, because he traveled quite a bit in Europe. And like, you know, there's always like in his mind, like it's hard to like buy a piece of property. It was hard to make a certain amount of money. It was hard to like it was hard to do things that he wanted to do because in a lot of ways there was pressures coming back the other way. So it always resonated with me. It's like, you know, in the United States, you do what you want. Like you do what you want. Like because there's the laws are different, there's more freedom potentially, but in Europe, you just do what you could.
and
So I thought that was always interesting.
I can be agree with him because that's how I feel. That's true. We definitely have a choice here. Everybody have a choice here, and it's feel this is the reason why I left Ukraine, right? Because I feel like financially I wasn't able to grow to feel myself uh, calm, and I can enjoy my life. Every day I was worried if like I'm gonna make enough money to live next month or something like that. So my reason was like financial because I was feeling safe in Ukraine. I did not had any problems in Ukraine to be safe. You know, a lot of people come here because of war or because they don't feel safe or government or I don't know, something gonna happen with them. So my main reason was financial, yeah, and I was looking for something else. And I feel like more happy here, much happier than that was before.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I'm
it's not
curious. Go
so-
ahead.
it's not like Ukrainian problem. I feel like it's more my personal problem that I wasn't able to find myself back there, you know.
Sure. Sure. Is that like, I'm curious. I mean, back to kind of do what you could versus do what you want. I mean, how was your experience of like your personal experience of like, hey, I'm not getting everything I want out of financially? I mean, were there some financial conditions back then that were kind of across the country? I mean, how like, or was this just kind of you making a personal decision? I'm out, right? I mean, I'm curious if it was a bigger issue in Ukraine.
I don't think that's the issue of Ukraine. Like I said, I think it's more my issue because I feel like I was probably making wrong choices, or that was my way to get to where I am right now. I don't know. But people live in Ukraine good. They have enough money to live, have a dinner on the table, and go for vacation. I feel like I wasn't able to find myself there. That's it.
Yeah.
Like I say, I had a job. I also work for myself, and I feel like nothing was really laid down right. So
Yeah.
I was trying to find something new, and this I went to work for the Carnival cruise company. This I tried to like stop in US for a couple of weeks, and 5 days later, I'm talking to you right now. So
Look at your English, man. You're like fluent now. You're like fluent. It's much different ballgame than it was 5-6 years ago.
oh yeah, man. Even I was trying to talk to you maybe like 5 years ago, but like what I can say, like okay, hello, okay. You know, my words, how much I know before and how much I know now it's a little bit different. I mean, I have a good teacher, and
Yeah.
my wife is a really good teacher.
So fast forward. So you're in Georgia, married, baby, right? 2 months, right?
There was
2, 3
6
months.
weeks yesterday, so he's a big boy.
So almost 2 months. It's
Yeah.
good, baby boy. So what how things landed are pretty good, right? Pretty
Well,
fortunate.
I just got my citizenship also, or 4 weeks ago.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm so excited for when I'm gonna vote next time. So.
You know, gosh, yeah, like how'd you feel when you got it? I'm curious. I mean, going through the whole process is lengthy, no doubt, but
Yeah.
like how did you feel actually kind of getting sworn into the country?
My wife said I should tell the truth.
Sure, whatever your story is, your story.
Well, I have a green card for like couple like 6-8 years more. I have my green card for I can stay here for a while, but we're like, hey, let's go ahead and just go through the process and
Sure.
do your citizenship. And when I received it, I mean, it feels good, but I was hoping I'm gonna be more excited. Because,
Yeah.
oh my God, if you'd asked me 5 years ago, this is gonna be my life, I was like, oh my God, this sounds so good. I don't think so, it's true. But right now,
Yeah.
I'm just accepting that, like, oh, cool. And I received my citizenship, and yeah, it feels good, but I was hopes I'm gonna be more excited. So I kind of disappointed myself that don't feel stronger about it. I was taking like, oh, cool, nice.
Yeah, it's interesting. When I got mine, it was back in 2016, and I had my green card from 1990. I was a permanent resident literally from 95 or something all the way until 2016. And then finally, I just kind of woke up one day and I'm like, gosh, I've been here so long and I feel American.
Yeah.
And oh, by the way, I only lived in Canada for like six years. So I don't even remember much. I'm like, you know what? I want to get more involved. So I remember when I got sworn in, I was like pretty emotional. But you know what I was thinking about the whole time? And this might sound cheesy, but I was thinking about my mother. And I was thinking about like the journey, right, that she had. And, you know, look, we were a fortunate family. But still there was some risk for her to come here. And
Yeah,
you know, we you know, and look, she left her family, she left everybody behind to come to the United States with 4 kids,
With
single
4 kids.
mother. Yeah. So
when you said it first, I was like, wow, it's really brave to do this.
well, look, we each have one, and that's hard enough, right? But it was interesting, like when I got it, I was like really emotional. But I wasn't emotional, it wasn't about me, it was about like my mother, you know what I mean? So I almost just kind of went back through that story of like, look, she left everything. She came here for a better life. And I tied that together with my citizenship, and I was like pretty emotional about it.
Feels
So,
good, right?
but everybody's got a different story, but congratulations. That's awesome. Now you can, I think the only difference now is, they can't kick you out, and you can vote.
I can vote, unless they can send me to a prison, but
That's it. That's it.
not kick out. Yeah.
Well, cool, man. Well, hey, look, this is a fascinating story. Again, how do I say this? My thoughts are with the Ukrainian people. I mean, really, it's a travesty, and certainly my thoughts are with you and your family. I can't even relate if I was in the same situation. And on the flip side, it's always good to hear, you're here. It sounds like you're in a great spot personally, financially, right? All the things that America can afford to give, you've taken, and you should. So, fantastic story. I'm glad you're able to share it. I'm glad you were open about it, and man, I appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, thank you for having me. I was glad to share with you.
Excellent. Well, Alex, I hope to see you soon. My best to Brittany and your baby boy, and we'll be in touch. Thank you.
Thanks, Derek. Thank you.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.